All right, hi everybody. This week in math, we have been focusing on comparing and ordering fractions. So I'm going to do today's lesson. This slide says decide whether the comparison is true or false. Circle the correct answer. So you have two fractions on this screen. You have 2/4 compared to 2/5. On the side it says 2/4 is less than 2/5. Okay? And remember we talked about if they have the same numerators, you can compare the denominators. And the larger the denominator, the smaller the piece. So if I go here, and you can see my screen, you have 2/4 is less than 2/5. You're trying to see if it's true or false, okay? All right, remember we talked about finding the multiples for both 4 and 5 and seeing which one they share. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. I'm going to stop right there. 5, 10, 15, 20. I know they share 20. So I'm going to see how many 20ths is equal to 2/4. So that means I'm going to take 2/4 and multiply it by a number to get blank 20ths. 4 times what gives me 20? 4 times 5. Multiply by 5 on the bottom, multiply by 5 on top. So 2 times 5 is 10. So I know that 2/4 is equivalent to 10 20ths. Now I have to convert 2/5 to 20ths. That means I do 2/5 times blank equals blank 20ths. So 5 times what gives me 20? 5 times 4. 2 times 4, because it has to match, it has to be equivalent to one whole. 2 times 4 is equal to 8. So I know that 2/5 is equivalent to 8 20ths. Now I can compare. That means here they're saying 2/5 is 2/4, is less than 2/5. Is that true or false? Because I can see a 10 up here and an 8 here. I know that the 10 is going to go this way. So I know that that has to be false because 2/4 is greater than 2/5. 10 20ths is greater than 8 20ths. 10 20ths is the same thing as 2/4, and 8 20ths is the same thing as 2/5. Okay? So the inequality symbol that they have right here is not right. All right, let's go to the next one, number 2. Oh, and then that means that I would have to place a circle over the word false. Okay? So now let's go to number 2. It says decide whether the comparison is true or false. Circle the correct answer. All right, we have 7/8 is greater than 3/4. 7/8 is greater than 3/4. I'm going to go here. 7/8 is greater than 3/4. All right. So remember, the first thing we have to do is find the multiples that they share. We're trying to find a common denominator. So here we have 8, and for this one we have 4. Looking at that, what do you think they share? So if I did 8, 16, so 8 times 1 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16, 8 times 3 is 24. I want to stop. I'm going to go here, 4, 8, ooh, ding, 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 we have a winner. All right, so 7/8 times what gives me blank 8. Remember, if it already starts out with an 8, the same, all you're doing is multiplying it by 1, which is, we normally don't do that. So it's the same, it's just 7/8. Now we're trying to convert 3/4 to 8. All right, 3/4 times what gives me blank 8. 4 times what gives me 8. 4 times 2, multiply by 2 here, multiply by 2 on top. It has to be a fraction equivalent to one whole. 3 times 2 gives me 6. So I know that 3/4 is equivalent to 6/8. So 7/8 is greater than 6/8. Is that true or false? That is definitely true. Okay. So here I'm going to go back to my screen and I'm going to circle true. All right, let's go to number 3. Number 3 says circle all the fractions that are equal to 1/2. Circle all the fractions that are equal to 1/2. So you have 5/10, 2/4, 3/6, and 3/8. What did we say about fractions? What did we say about fractions that are equivalent to 1/2? All right, we say that the numerator or the top number, and you need to be writing this down, is half of the bottom number. Okay? And I'm going to highlight. It's half of the bottom number, and the bottom number is the what? Denominator. Your denominator is the number below the fraction bar, and your numerator is the number above the fraction bar, okay? So let's look at this. Let's look at 5/10. 5 plus 5 will give me 10. So that means that 5/10 is half, 5/10 is equivalent to 1/2. So I know 5/10 is. Let's look at 2/4. What is half of 4? 4 divided by 2 is what? 2 times what will give me 4? 2. So I know that 2/4 is equivalent to 1/2. What about 3/6? Half of 6 is what? If I had 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I split them in half, this side will get 3 and this side will get 3 evenly. So that means that 3/6 is equivalent to half. Let's look at 3/8. If I had 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, can I split those up? If I split those up in half, do I get 3 or do I get 2? I get 2. Well, it cannot be 3/8. 3 is not half of 8. 3 is half of 6, remember? So the ones that are equivalent to 1/2 include 5/10, 2/4, and 3/6. So if I go here, that means I'm going to put a circle here, and circle here. And I'm not going to circle 3/8. All right, let's look at this. It says circle all the fractions that make this comparison true. 1/4 is greater than blank. So we're comparing 1/4 to 1/6 first. So you have 1/4 is greater than, you have 1/6, 1/3, 1/2, and 1/8. All right. So I'm going to compare it to 1/6 first. And we're thinking about what our denominator is going to be. What multiple do they share? 4 and 6. So you have 4, 8, 12. I can stop because I know that if I did my multiples for 6, I'll go 6, 12, and I know that they share 12. So I'm going to do 1/4 times what gives me 12. What would I multiply by? I would multiply by 3/3. 1 times 3 is what? It is 3. So I know that 1/4 is equivalent to 3/12. Now I have to change 1/6 to 12. 1/6 times blank equals blank 12. Well, 6 times what gives me 12? 6 times 2. All right. So 2 on the bottom, 2 on the top. Equivalent to 1 whole, equivalent to 1 whole. 1 times 2 is what? It is 2. All right, so I know that 1/6, excuse me, is equivalent to 2/12. Now I can compare 3/12, which is 1/4, and 2/12, which is 1/6. So 3/12 is greater than 2/12? Yes, that is correct. So I can go back to my screen, to my slide. I can put in 1/6. It says circle, excuse me. I can circle 1/6. Now I'm going to go to 1/3. 1/4. Let's see if I can fit the paper. 1/4 is greater than 1/3. Excuse me for not writing on the line. I want you guys to write on the line. So we're trying to find a common denominator. We're going to list the multiples for 4 and 3. 4, 8, 12. And after a while, you'll be able to tell which ones they share. 3, 6, 9, 12. It's going to be hard if you don't know your multiplication facts. So I know they share 12. So I'm going to do 1/4 times blank equals blank 12. 4 times what gives me 12? Well, 3, because obviously I have it right here as well. All right, so I know that 1/4 is equivalent to 3/12. And now I'm going to do 1/3 times what gives me blank 12. 3 times what gives me 12? 4. 4 here, 4 here. What is 1 times 4? 4. So I know that 3/12 is equivalent to 1/4, and 1/3 is equivalent to 4/12. So if I was looking at this, is this 3/12 is greater than 4/12? Is 3/12 greater than 4/12? No, that is false. So I would not circle that. All right, so I can put an X here, check here. So now I'm going to compare 1/2 and 1/4. Looking at that, could 1/2 even be equivalent to 1/4? No, because I know that if all the fractions are equivalent to 1/2, the numerator is, pause and mislead the syntax, the numerator is half of the denominator. That doesn't make sense. So I know that 1/2 is not equivalent to 1/4. Greater than 1/4. Okay, so let us see. 1/4 compared to 1/2. 1/4 compared to 1/2. Since 1/4 is greater than 1/2. Let's see. Because if I'm looking at this, how many I know that 4 and 2 share what multiple? If we don't know, let's keep going. 4, 8, 12. 2, 4. They share 4. All right. So since they share 4, I'm not going to do anything to 1/4, but I'm going to come here and change 1/2. So 1/2 times blank equals blank fourths. 2 times what gives me 4? 2 times 2. 2 here, 2 on top. So 1 times 2 is 2. So I know that 1/4 is equivalent to 1/4, obviously, and 1/2 is equivalent to 2/4. So here it says 1/4 is greater than 2/4. Is 1/4 greater than 2/4? No. So I would not circle that one. All right, now we're going to compare 1/4 to 1/8. 1/4 is greater than 1/8. And I'm going to ask you, judging by the denominators and the fact that they have the same numerator, do you think this is true or false? And why? You can pause the video and talk about it. All right, so find the denominator that they have in common. What do you think the denominator is that they have in common? Okay, let's see. 4, 8, 12. All right, 8 is 8, 16. I'm going to stop here. They share 8. So am I going to have to change 1/8? No, because that's just what they share. I'm going to change this 1/4 into 8. So that means I'm going to do 1/4 times blank equals blank 8. 4 times what gives me 8? 4 times 2. 2 here, 2 on top. 2 halves is equivalent to 1 whole. So 1 times 2 is 2. So I know that 1/4 is equivalent to 2/8. All right, so now I'm comparing 2/8 and 1/8. 2/8 or 1/4 is greater than 1/8. Is that true or false? That is true. So I would circle 1/8. So the fractions that are equivalent, that are greater than, the fractions that are greater than or less than 1/4, include 1/6 and 1/8. That last slide. Now we're doing 6/10 compared to 1/3, 1/8, 8/10, 8/12, and 5/4. All right. So I'm gonna write this on my paper. It says 6/10 is less than, and we're trying to figure out which ones. We have 1/3, 8/10, 8/12, and 5/4. Okay. Let me go back to my camera. All right, so we're going to start with 1/3 first. So you have 6/10 is less than 1/3. Trying to see if that is true or false. First, we have to find a common denominator. Okay. 10 and 3. What factor do you think they'll share? Not factor, what multiple do you think they'll share? Let's see. 10, 20, 30. What do you think they're going to share? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 8, 21, 24, 27, and 13. So they're going to share 13. All right, so that means I'm going to take 6/10 and multiply it by something to get blank 30s. 10 times what gives me 30? 10 times 3. So 6 times 3 will give me 18. So I know that this is 18/30ths. Okay. And 1/3. 1/3 times blank equals blank 30ths. 3 times what gives me 30? 10. 10 here, 10 on top. 1 times 10 gives me 10. So I know that 1/3 is equivalent to 10/30ths. Okay? So I know that 6/10 and 18/30ths is the same, and 1/3 and 10/30ths is the same. So looking at this, it says 18/30ths is less than 10/30ths. Is that true or false? That is definitely false. I'm going to put no and X. So now we're going to compare 6/10 to 8/10. And notice that I'm going to slide it up. 6/10 is less than 8/10. What do they have the same? They have the same denominator. So when they have the same denominator, that means we can compare the numerators. 6/10 is less than 8/10. Is that correct? That is correct. So we know that this is true. I'm going to put a check. Now we're going to compare 8/12 to 6/10. It says 6/10 is less than 8/12. All right. So we have to find right denominators. All right. And since we're going to go up, let's see, 10 and 12. We're going to go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. All right. So I'm going to stop right there. So I know that they're going to share 60 because 12 times 5 is 60. 12 times 1 is 12. 24. 12 times 2 is 24. 12 times 3 is 36. 12 times 4 is 48. And 12 times 5 is 60. Okay? So that means I'm going to take 6/10 and multiply it by blank to get blank 60ths. 10 times what gives me 60? 10 times 6. So here is 6, here is 6. 6 times 6 is 36. So 6/10 is equivalent to 36/60. Okay? And I'm going to do the same thing with 8/12. 8/12 times blank equals blank 6/10. 12 times 5 gave me 60. So here's 5, here's 5. I'm going to multiply and get 40. So now the 8/12 is equivalent to 46. So it says 36/60 or 6/10 is less than 8/12 or 46. Is that true or false? It's a 36 less than the 40. That is true. Alright, so I'm going to go back to my teacher slide. So I know that 8/12 is less than, greater than, is greater. And I know that, I get my notes, and 8/12. And I'm going to teach you a little trick. Do you see how there's a 5 and there's a 4? The 5 is greater than the 4, correct? So that means the numerator is larger than the denominator. If you have a fraction like this where the numerator is greater than the denominator, that means it is an improper fraction. And all of the improper fractions are greater than 1 whole, okay? So this fraction would be like 1 and 1/4. 5/4 is equivalent to 1 and 1/4. Well, all improper fractions are greater than fractions, okay? So I would definitely circle that because I know that this is greater than 1 whole. 6/10 is less than 1 whole, so it's 8/10, so it's 8/12, and so it's 1/3. All of the fractions that we've seen so far are less than 1 whole, except this 5/4, all right? And we'll talk about improper fractions later. So this is today's lesson. And your activity for today, you have 2 activities. You have a true or false activity. Should be loading. It's going a little slow today. Just be patient. I didn't know it was going to be this long. It says sort the fraction comparisons. You are going to work out these fractions. Most of these are easy. I mean, because if you know that they have the same denominator, you can compare the numerators. If the numerators are the same, you look at the denominators. And the larger the denominator, the smaller the piece. Okay? So you can do that one. And you're going to place it either in the true category or the false category. And then after you're done with that, you have your Google Form activity to do. Okay? And since this is taking so long, I'm going to go ahead and end the video. All right. If you have any questions, please refer back to the video. Look back at the video. Please do not tell Ms. Livingston that you need help on something when you can just go to the video.